You think we weren't live all that time we were talking?
Oh, it might be.
It is now going to be live. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
We weren't live all that time?
I don't think so. Jen just came up
I
to
don't
tell
know.
me we were
I
not.
was in between.
Now you will be restarting.
We practiced talking.
Yeah.
So can you try to tell me where the room
Yeah,
is? Like,
yeah. I was just
Yeah.
think or something.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. But this is good.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So now we click got it. Great. That's why the pop-up didn't show up before. So.
Are we live now? Or you're gonna tell me when we're live?
Yeah, I think we're live now.
Okay, hi everybody. I'm Debbie Rosenberg and this is Amber Lynn. And there's been a delay, some problems, I guess, with the Wi-Fi in the hotel here, getting us onto Zoom. But we think we're here now. Maya, our host, is working on getting us the hands. We're not seeing the hands right now on this screen. So we are planning to focus on one room, the room where Kevin Rosenberg is playing. Amber and I both know Kevin quite well. And maybe it'll be better to just focus on one room. I know some people prefer jumping around to different matches, but of course you can do that on your own while we're focused on this room. So both boards 1 and 2 were pretty interesting 3-no trump contracts. Board 2 is still being played in one room. So what actually happened, Amber and I had predicted that Brian Platnick was going to switch, if he switched to the Queen of Clubs, but it looks like he switched to a low club while we were listing it. So that makes the hand quite easy for declarer. I hadn't quite figured out if Brian switched to the Queen of Clubs, how declarer was going to make it. I think we might have checked the double dummy and seen that they could make it anyway.
I think the idea was if when they played diamonds up, I don't know if people were watching the other table, if South split their diamonds, West would be able to squeeze North and play them of some sorts, since they had both the hearts and the clubs, I think, but did not check that.
I wasn't quite sure how that could work because there wasn't a heart in dummy, right? So I was not quite understanding that. Okay, so in the end, there was no swing on either board. On either board, yes. But I think at least on board 1, there was potential for a swing. At one point, the defense did have 3-no trump beaten. So let's go on to this next hand. See what's going on. So Kevin has opened 1-no trump, as I think most experts would do these days. Ace, king, queen, 6th of diamonds, and also some honors in the other suits. If it was any better than this with the ace, king, queen, 6th of diamonds, he'd be concerned that it's too good for a 15 to 17 no trump. But opening a no trump has a lot of appeal, especially for seat favorable, where if it's the opponent's hand, you might steal it from them. And unlike our first 2 3-no trumps, this one is not going to be all that interesting to play. Looks like declarer just has 10 tricks. So we can talk about other things.
I think maybe a good call out is that Brian did not stamen with 4 hearts looking for a 4-4 heart fit with the 4-3-3. I think it's pretty normal nowadays with most 4-3-3s to just treat it as balanced, unless maybe you have a lot of slam interest.
Yes. And not just these days, but since Amber only knows about these days, as long as I've been playing bridge, which is now, dare I say, 40 years. I'm pretty sure I learned about 40 years ago not to bid stamen with 4-3-3, and my experience in those years has reinforced that for me. I'm very big on teaching that to my students. An occasional exception is with a slam range hand, With a slam range hand, you might well want to get to the 4 forfeit and bid Stamen, because partner may have a doubleton and that ruff can be the 12th trick. But other than that, I personally never bid Stamen with 4 triple 3 hands. All right, let's see what's happening on this board. And do we know, Amber, did Aaron Silverstein also open one no trump with the ace king queen
Yeah,
6 of
same
diamonds?
option.
And I guess people who are looking at the other 3 matches can compare, assuming that all of the South players are playing strong no trumps. I would not be surprised if every one of them opened one no trump. Okay, so here we are. What happened here? Pass. Platnick and Rosenberg are playing a pretty standard 2/1 system. More standard in some ways than most because they actually play standard carding, old-fashioned standard carding. But they have a lot of agreements. They're a new partnership that just started playing at the Nationals. And this tournament, I've been hearing about some pretty obscure agreements that they have that I've never had with any partner. So they have worked hard to prepare.
There's already, I think, a bit more bidding at this table than the other table, which went to same start to the auction, and then they passed out 2 spades.
That's rather conservative by North. Yeah, when you open a minor and partner responds 1 no trump, even after their overcall and they raise, I would say it's a very rare hand that's not going to compete to 3 of the minor with a 6 card suit. It does not show extra values there. If you have extra values, you have to do something else depending on style. For most players these days, if they didn't just want to bid 3 no trump, they would likely double with extra values. So 3 clubs is simply competitive. And East went on to 4 spades.
Yeah, so it looks like in the other table, East did not make a try over 2 spades here, but here they made a, I'm guessing, generic game try. Maybe 3 hearts would have been a natural game try.
Right. Well, if you have a close call as to whether to make a game try, there's more incentive to do so once you're already up at the 3 level. So the person who was passing 2 spades would gain if there were exactly 8 tricks available. Since here, Chris Valenkin is going to have to compete to 3 spades anyway, with a borderline game try, he may as well make the game try. And that's what he decided. And will he be successful? Let's see. South has 4 trumps, which could potentially get interesting. So I'm fairly certain South will duck this for a spade because he likes Declara being in dummy with the 10 of spades. He doesn't want to make things easier for Declara by winning the queen of spades. So I'm pretty sure he's going to duck this, maybe after some thought. And then Declara has to get back to his hand with the ace of hearts to knock out one of the spade honors. So the question is whether the 7 of spades can come into play here.
Yeah.
So if Declara comes back to his hand with the ace of hearts, then when South wins the next spade, they get to play another heart, which Declara roughs. And then when they get in with the 3rd spade, they get to play a diamond, and it looks like they would get a promotion. So it seems like we see that item, yes. It seems like Declara might need to play a diamond now to make it. So Kevin hasn't ducked the 10 of spades yet, but I'm guessing that when he ducks the 10 of spades, which I expect him to do, that Declara will cross to a heart, but he might actually have to play a diamond. Will the double dummy show us? let's see. So the other room already has played in 2 spades and made some number of tricks. I can't actually see that right now. So it says here that I'm totally off base, that Kevin has to win the queen, that if he ducks it, they're making. So I obviously missed something that Kevin playing single dummy saw. It's becoming more and more common. Yes.
Yeah, well, I think you weren't you saying that if he does duck it and declares switches,
And declare played a diamond, right? If he ducked
Yeah.
it and declare played a diamond. So now when he won it, oh, no, he's just getting a promotion in clubs.
Immediately,
Yeah, I
yeah.
was just somehow, I was sort of defending as if there were only 3 suits in existence. I just forgot that clubs existed. I was a little distracted by other things. So he simply needed to get his promotion, play a diamond, win and play a diamond to get his promotion. I see. But I'm not, so why, if he ducked,
Yeah,
why wouldn't that work? I don't really know why that wouldn't work. Maybe he must have been in danger of getting end played. So if he ducked and then declare played a diamond and his partner won and played a club, declare would rough high, and he can't over rough because then he doesn't have a promotion. So he has to pitch. And now maybe declare can come down to they just each have 3 trumps and declare plays a high spade. And Kevin's end play. I'm guessing that's what happened. Unfortunately, I'm not sure if we are live anymore. Amber, try to you check for me because we've lost the hands. We're still here, but the hands are not here. Okay.
Well, I can pull up the hands on our screen and we can keep
And we
talking.
can keep talking about them, and other people can open a separate window to look at the hands. Nice thing about Lovebridge is there's so many nice things about Lovebridge. One of them is that you can choose how many tables you watch at once, and you can always check later all of the results. In this tournament, there's some new procedures being implemented. In particular, each pair has their own clock, and pairs are being penalized for using excessive time, even if the table finishes on time. So this is something quite controversial that I think we'll be hearing a lot about and trying to iron out. But overall, I'm pretty sure it's making the play faster. Notwithstanding what we've seen so far from Kevin at this table, I think he must be behind on the clock. Where I don't think we're able as viewers to see that, are we? And
don't think so.
Be able to see
I don't see
any clock. But when you're there at the table playing on the tablets, you see a table clock, and then after each hand, if you are late, then you get a warning telling you how much time your pair has left. Okay, so we're on to board 6, even though we don't have it here on the Zoom.
There's on 5.
Well, their table's on 5. So on 5 was yet another 3 no trump contract.
Yep.
Which was made with 2 over tricks. So this one doesn't look like it was. Yeah, I missed the beginning of this. But it doesn't look like too exciting a hand. Okay. We might be getting the hands back here. Okay, here we go. So catching up here. What is happening here? This isn't what really happened, is it?
No, I
No,
think
no,
it's lagging. Yeah, the 3 was just led from east.
Okay, I don't really.
Yeah, and Kevin's now thinking about,
So we're looking at the 6 of hearts and 3 of diamonds, both as if they're on the table at the same time. But you're saying the lag makes it that the 6 of hearts is still there from the previous
Yes.
trick. So it looks like the 6 of hearts is being led. I had not seen that before. So, okay. So this
that's correct now. Mhm.
is more correct. And the option was 103. Now, can I see what this hand was from the beginning?
Yeah.
Okay, so pretty standard modern auction on this one. To open 1-0 trump with a 5-card major. Again, almost all experts routinely do that with hands that are in range. If it's a 15 to 17 or 14 plus to 17, actually, I think for East
Yeah,
West.
I'm sure they play for.
No, third and fourth seed, they
Okay.
might play differently. They normally play 14 to 16 when they're vulnerable, first or second seed, and 10 to 12 when they're non-vulnerable. That's Bramley and Wolsey, but that's the other table. That's not the table we're looking at here. So anyway, they opened 1-0 trump at both tables, and West had
Oh, no, they
didn't open 1-0 trump. They did open one spade
Yeah,
because they were out of range, right? Because theirs would have been 14 to 16.
Oh, I can check what it would have
Oh, no,
been.
they were second seed, so it would have been 10 to 12. For some reason, I was seeing it that they were in fourth seed. Yes, second seed, I'm sure that they played 10 to 12. Unfortunately for my team, we lost to the Bramley team in the round of 16. So I've played a lot of boards against these guys, and they definitely played 10 to 12 in first and second. So they opened a
And
spade.
they did not upgrade to a precision.
Right. Okay, but playing standard, a standard auction would be 1-0, 3-0. The West hand does not transfer to diamonds. I've seen many intermediate players when they have a 6-card diamond suit just kind of automatically transfer. But with that West hand, you should just know that you want to play 3-0. So simply bid 3-0 over 1-0. Typically with semi-balanced hands and a 6-card minor, even an 8 count. Yesterday, there was a hand with a 7 count and a 6-card diamond suit that some of the players raised 1-0 to 3-0.
The right-hand side has really caught up. So they're both on board 6 now.
Okay. So here we see 1 diamond opening, playing standard from this pair. It'll be a precision diamond at the other table, which will make things different. But standard takeout double. Pretty standard 2 diamond bid. West is maximum. 2 diamonds is just 6 to 9, typically with 4 diamonds, because typically with 5 diamonds, they would make some kind of raise to the 3 level immediately. So this is just typically 4-card diamond suit. I think Chris Willenkin, his diamond promising at least 4, or are they just playing that it can be 4? They can open 1 diamond with 4, 4, 3, 2.
It doesn't look like it. They just have 3.
Yeah, so they can open a diamond with 4, 4, 3, 2, but you don't worry about that as West. You know, if you're just playing standard where you open your longer minor, you raise diamonds, you even raise clubs with 4, where partners more likely to have 3 very often in competitive options. For example, this hand, I think if it were 1 club double, many players would raise to 2 clubs. Okay, so now over 2 diamonds, Brian Platnick bid 2 spades, and that bought the contract. Because East was certainly happy to defend with the ace, king, queen of spades, and West had only 4 diamonds and also some good defensive values. So they judged to defend, I think, quite accurately, maybe. Let's see. Well, I'm pretty sure they were not going to make 3 diamonds. That part is true. Will they be able to defeat 2 spades? That I am not so sure about. This is a favorable lead for Declara. So the question, Declara has 3 top spades to lose, obviously, and 2 hearts to lose, even though eventually a heart could go away on the 4th round of clubs, but that's eventually. So can he hold the losers to that. So he's leading the 9 of diamonds because he's decided that he does not want East to cover. General principle is when you're leading equal cards as declarer from your hand, if you want the opponents to cover, you lead the higher. If you don't want them to cover, you lead the lowest. And there's exceptions and there can be double bluffs, but that's a good principle to follow as a rule. I probably East would have covered the 10 of diamonds and maybe should have covered the 9 of diamonds, because given that he has the 8, he actually, when declarer leads the 9, knows that declarer has 10-9. So maybe I'm wrong that he would have covered the 10 of diamonds, because in either case here, just because he happens to have the 8, he's in a position to be pretty sure declarer has 10-9. Declarer wouldn't be leading either of those cards without the other one. So I might have, on that 9 of diamonds, if I were Chris Valenkin, I might have taken a little more time to think about whether I wanted to cover, because I would figure that I'm pretty much marked with the queen already. So that would be a situation where it wouldn't hurt to take my time if I weren't sure whether I wanted to cover or not.
Or if you weren't behind on time, maybe.
Right, and if you're not behind.
Here, it didn't seem like it mattered whether he covered, because if they were always going to take the roughing finesse.
Well, the question would be whether you want them roughing the 3rd diamond or the 2nd, but yeah, you're probably right that it's unlikely to matter much here, and maybe he knew that very quickly and didn't need any time to think about it. But as a general principle, that's something that I like to talk about as one of the subtleties in the game, is figure when you can take time on defense, you know, particularly in second-hand positions. Because I often teach my students that you err on the side of second-hand low, and you're allowed to make mistakes that way, because often you can't afford to stop and think about it. But one of the things that experience sometimes shows is that certain positions, thinking about it and marking yourself with a card isn't going to hurt anything. So it's worthwhile to take the time. And you know, there's no formula really for when it's okay to think. You just, certainly when you're marked with a card is one of the times. Okay, so what's going on now? So now,
Yeah, this is
so Brian, because he had the Jack of clubs as an entry, was able to rough out all of the diamonds before playing any trumps. And then he played a trump. So
yeah, so now I guess they might tap him with the hearts. And then if he plays clubs after that.
it seems like if he plays clubs here, he'll get lucky that the club is getting roughed with a spade honor, and there's no way for them to score the 9 of spades. So does he have, is there any argument for, from his point of view, for him not playing clubs and playing a spade? If the person winning the spade was West, then, and they didn't have the 9 of hearts, which they wouldn't have, then I guess it would be better to play a spade. But West has already shown up with those 9 high card points. So clearly West does not have a spade honor. So he's just taking his time because he's a careful player. But I think that he will probably get this right. So here, if he plays a spade, East will be able to draw trump and cash the 9 of hearts. But if he plays clubs, I don't think that there's nothing that East can do. So he's getting that right. Okay, and what happens at the other table? They're still playing it?
I think they finished. The other table, they were in 2 diamonds making. So making the 2 spades bid paid off here.
I see. Okay.
Yeah, I guess there's a question of making the 2 spades bid.
Right, fair amount of defense to diamonds, and certainly it could be a 4-3 fit, so it was a questionable call, but successful by Platnick there to make the more aggressive bid. Okay, so here we have what's going on here. A lot of hearts in the north hand. So I mentioned earlier that Amber and I know Kevin Rosenberg quite well. We also know some of the other people at this table pretty well. Chris Walenkin is Amber's partner next week in the mixed trials, assuming that the Rosenthal team does not win the open trials. If the Rosenthal team wins the open trials, will not be playing the mixed trials. But if they do not win the open trials, Amber and I are both on the Rosenthal team, and Amber's partner is Chris Walenkin. All right, so more on that later, perhaps. Here, North responds 1 no trump because his hand is not good enough to bid any number of hearts. I would suspect that they're playing 1 spade, 3 hearts as invitational with long hearts, but this hand is not worth that.
And they play a forcing 1 no trump.
Forcing 1 no trump, okay. So because it's forcing, right, because people playing semi-forcing would very likely pass with the south hand. And I'm not a big fan of semi-forcing 1 no trump, and maybe this hand is a good illustration of one of the reasons why is because when I have a hand like the north hand, I don't want to play in 1 no trump.
Yeah.
So over 2 clubs, 2 diamonds is some kind of BART system. There are many variations on that. Do they play 2 diamonds explicitly shows hearts? Yeah, maybe Maya, can you just hold the cursor over the 2 diamond bids so we can see how it was alerted? Thank you. All right, so it's 5+ hearts. And then can we look at South's would pass 2 hearts. So that's just indicating that if they had had a standard natural auction where North had bid 2 hearts, showing a weak hand with hearts, South would have passed. So he just completes the transfer with 2 hearts when he has that hand type. So now we get 2 hearts played from the south hand. Very popular to play some form of BART after a major and no trump 2 clubs. There are some players who play Gazilli, which is a different kind of convention where 2 clubs is artificial, but not very popular in the US, more of a European thing. Amber, do you ever play Gazilli?
With Emma, I play Gazilli.
I thought maybe you did, yeah. I think I've only played Gazilli with 1 partner. Actually, somebody else who's in this event, the one person I've ever played Gazilli with is David Granger. He's on the Lebowitz team in this event. Okay, so 2 hearts does not look all that interesting.
We'll get 1 more club trick and it should make. And the other table did play a semi-forcing 1 no trump. So they ended up down 3 and 1 no trump.
Ooh, okay. It really was an illustration. All right. I'm going to have to save this hand because I really don't like playing semi-forcing 1 no trump. And maybe when I show this to partners who want to play it, they'll be convinced.
Yeah, I actually only play semi-forcing 1 no trump.
So even when you play with Kevin,
yeah,
you play semi-forcing 1 no trump. Well, maybe he's going to persuade
Yeah.
you not to after this hand. And when you play with Chris Walenkin. So Amber also plays quite a bit of bridge with Kevin Rosenberg. They together just were on a team that won our district's Grand National teams, and they'll be playing together at the in Chicago at the Nationals this summer.
and Kit is also on the team.
Kid is also on that team. Correct. Yeah. Okay. So if we have some dead time later, we can talk a little bit more about that. Here, let's look at the board in play. 1 diamond opening, 1 heart response. West has only 14 high card points and a 6-card diamond suit and a stiff in his partner suit. So typically that hand type would bid only 2 diamonds, but with ace, king, queen, 10, 6, that's not just a 14 count. That's 7 tricks in no trump, which is what partners often going to be doing when you jump to 3 diamonds is bidding 3 no trump. So that I agree that West hand is worth a jump to 3 diamonds. Me?
Yeah, pretty much the same auction at the other table, except playing precision. They opened a precision diamond and then had a bid that showed a 3 diamonds bid with less than 3 hearts, and then also got to 3 no trump.
And it might be worth noting that with the East hand, Chris bid 3 no trump without a club stopper. I'm not sure if he had the option of bidding 3 spades to show values in spades and try to get partner to bid 3 no trump with the club stopper. But even if he did, it's not clear that he would want to do that. 10-3 of clubs might be good enough. I know with some partners, I have the agreement that after 1 diamond, 1 of a major, 3 diamonds, when you bid 3 of the other major, that actually asks for a stopper in the major, rather than showing values in the major. I don't know, which way do you usually play that?
I think usually showing.
Yes. So would you consider bidding 3 spades on this East hand, or would you just go ahead and bid 3 no?
I would just bid 3 no. Yeah.
Unlucky if partner has some hand with a stiff club and a 7-card diamond suit that easily makes 5 diamonds and goes down in 3 no trump. That certainly could happen, but on average, it's probably going to be better to bid 3 no trump with this particular East hand. Okay, so it's a shame, before we managed to go live, we had these really fascinating 3 no trump contracts, and now they've all been routine. So I was talking a little bit about our District 21 Grand National teams, and I found it really amusing that the team was Kevin and Amber, and then the other pair was Kit Woolsey and his partner's name, Bruce Sue. And I believe there's a 60-year age gap between those 2 players. So that was a successful partnership.
Yeah, I think the other table played this hand much faster.
Well, Chris is playing the hand fast, right? He's not taking any time to think, but there's no reason for him not to. He certainly has a possible over trick. And if the opponents want to take time, this is the nice thing about each pair having their own clock. The time would be coming off their clock. And some people don't like this idea. To me, I don't understand why we should have to worry about that in bridge, about using up the opponent's clock. No other competitive sport really are you so much trying to help your opponents. So I don't really see the harm. I'm not saying that we should, like, if you have a claim for the rest of the tricks, of course in bridge you're expected to claim the rest of the tricks. You can't just use up the opponent's time. That's even with now having these clocks, that's not the nature of the game. But if you have a possibility for an over trick and you're not in any kind of time trouble yourself, or even if you are in time trouble yourself, but you're playing every card immediately, this is the nice thing about having your own clock, is that you can do that. I'm feeling a lot of the people listening would think that's one of the horrible things about having your own clock, is that people are going to do that rather than just claiming hands that have maybe some potential for over tricks, but could be played faster. I have been involved in enough close matches that I think the over tricks are very important. And as we're discussing this, I hadn't even noticed, but coincidentally, the score is exactly tied on my screen here. 150 to 150. So it certainly, at this point, looks like it could be decided by an over trick. I don't know whether that score is completely accurate. because I know last night the Love Bridge score was different than the USBF score, because there were fractions involved.
There might be
Yeah,
time
because
penalties haven't been.
right, there were time
Yeah.
penalties of 1/4 of an M, and I'm not sure exactly what the score is right now. Okay, so let's look at this board. What's happening here, Amber?
No, I think this is pretty interesting. There's East's decision whether or not to overcall a bit light red, which they did at the other table, but Chris chose to pass here. And then also Kevin's decision on, I guess, whether to raise spades directly, or I'm guessing he was choosing to downgrade his hand a bit and show a preference to 2 spades if the auction had become uncontested. So yeah, with the 4 triple 3 borderline hand, I'm guessing they play a pretty constructive direct 2 spades style. So this feels like a downgrade. But now the auction has gotten a bit more exciting.
Yeah, and I guess another interesting bidding decision is after 1 spade pass, 1 no trump, what to do with the West hand. When I learned to play bridge, I wouldn't have dreamed of making a takeout double with that hand. We were pretty strict about you had to have at least tolerance, at least 3 of each of the other suits, unless you had substantial extra values. And it's also a negative not to have a 4-card heart suit. Not that you're required to have a 4-card heart suit, but these days it's become very common to make takeout doubles with doubleton honors and unbid minors. And especially vulnerability here. Some people might say, oh, it's more dangerous to double when you're vulnerable, but it might also be more dangerous not to, because the opponents at favorable vulnerability can be bidding extremely aggressively and people don't want to get stolen from. So I would think it would be a popular choice these days to make a takeout double with the West hand, whereas I suppose some people would overcall 2 clubs, but that's unattractive looking at that club suit. And the hand feels just too good to pass. So I suppose this is kind of a panel hand where the options are pass, double, or 2 clubs, and none of them is particularly attractive. What do you think, Amber?
Yeah. Yeah, I think I've had situations where I've doubled before and then just ended up going for a number. And then in the postmortem, pass was definitely winning. Here, I think coming in was definitely winning to find your game. Yep, so it's interesting.
But is game making here is now a question, since the diamonds aren't running. But so Platnick has shown 10 cards in the majors.
Yeah, it looks pretty hard to misguess the clubs on that.
So well, he's only shown, I mean, he's shown 10 cards. Why couldn't he have, maybe I missed something, but why couldn't he have queen and 1 club and only 4 hearts?
Maybe he could.
It seems pretty exciting, this club guess. Maybe because wasn't Platnick 6'5"? Am I going crazy? I thought I saw that he was 6'5".
Mm-hmm.
So he was 6'5", and he right, and he didn't. He competed to 3 spades after Kevin doubled, because presumably Kevin's double of 2 spades indicated some kind of spade fit, but he didn't rebid his hearts. So I think Declare's got a pretty tough guess here. I suppose if Platnick were 6'4", Kevin might have raised hearts with 4, but I mean he would have a pretty bad hand. With 2 small clubs, he'd have an even worse hand than this. So it seems like pretty consistent with everything that happened for South to have a doubleton club and North to have the queen and 1. I don't, if there's a clear reason for Declare to get this right, I'm not seeing it.
Do you know who's on which side of the screen?
Yeah, South and West are always together, and North and East are together. Right, and for people who don't know this already, the way this event is being run is South and West are in a hotel room together, and North and East are in a hotel room together. So I think most people playing in these events feel very good about the security, that it's much harder for anybody to cheat than it's been in most forms of bridge in the past. We're not allowed to bring any electronic devices into the room. Now, I know there might be some way for people to sneak in electronic devices, but if you're caught with an electronic device, whether or not you've been using it, there's severe penalties. Last year, I remember Bart Bramley, they did a random check for phones, and he had his phone in his room, and it was a 6-cent penalty. Not that he was using his phone, not that it rang, just that he'd accidentally brought it into the room. So it's secure, and many of us feel like it's also more social than actually playing bridge at the table, because you can chat with your screen mate if you want to, if both players want to, and you have time. And it's also good for disclosure purposes, because you can give verbal explanations without your partner hearing them, without disturbing other tables, because in some tournaments where a lot of tables are playing the same boards, I have issues, especially with WBF tournaments, where people are talking about the hands and everyone's playing the same boards. And it's hard not, even when people aren't talking, just things like saying making 6 gives information away. So don't have to worry about any of that when we're playing in this format.
I wonder if, yeah, Eldad did know that Kevin hesitated for a while over 3 no trump, and would that make him more likely to think Kevin had 4 hearts than not?
Oh, that's interesting. I had missed that Kevin had hesitated over 3 no trump. Are you?
I thought it was pretty long, but I don't know.
Okay.
I wasn't looking at the clock.
No, something I haven't been noticing, Amber, when South passed, we saw that pass before West passed. Is that right? Or are the 2 bids coming together, South and West and North and East?
VUGRAPH?
Yeah, I
I
like
think we've been seeing it
in real
real
time.
time.
Okay, because for the players, North and East will not see the calls from the other side of the screen or the other room until both calls have been made, so that they won't know who's taking a long time. That's why Amber was mentioning, because South and West are screen mates. If South took time, West would know about it. North and East would not know about it. I mean, if it's a long time, once you start getting to 20 seconds or more, people often know who was thinking, but just relatively short thought, you usually won't know that it even happens on the other side of the screen.
Yeah, we could mention what happens at the other table while we're waiting on this. So they actually ended up in 4 no trump on a heart lead. So even if, I'm not sure if they did guess the club, so even if they did, they only had 9 tricks, I think.
But if they guessed the clubs, they wouldn't have been able to end play North to make their king of spades. Oh, I see. North didn't have to pitch. There was only 4 no trump.
Yeah, they only needed 4 tricks.
Right, right. North had pitched a heart, but I see. They were there. I forgot they were defending 4 no trump. Okay. All right. So
yeah.
How did they get to 4 no trump? 1 spade, 2 diamonds, 2 spades. West jumped to 3 no trump. North bid 4 spades, and West bid 4 trump. I see. So the aggressive overcall could have been successful, I suppose, but was not. 4 no trump went down 4. I see that now.
Yeah. So even if this table does make, it'll be a bit of a crash.
I was thinking the other way, that even if this table goes down, it's going to be a loss for, so either way, it's a loss of some sort for the Brownlee team, right? If Eldad plays low now, he is going down 2, right? So he will win 5 imps. So if he makes this, he's going to win 14 imps. And if he goes down, he's going to win 5 imps. Nice position to be in. But obviously it's going to feel pretty bad to misguess in this situation. Lot of pressure here to get this right. And yeah, as Amber was pointing out, there's always clues, even subtle clues, like how fast people did things, you know, who hesitated where. You can't always tell from the other side. I was mentioning that before, that sometimes you can tell, but when I was playing in this event briefly, and you also, Amber, I don't know if you noticed, we were having some connection issues.
Yeah.
The same Wi-Fi in the hotel that was maybe affecting our getting onto this Zoom was affecting the play. So sometimes we would just disconnect I had it happen once where it was 5 minutes before, but mostly it was just sort of disconnecting for a few seconds, and he got it right. So well done, Eldad. I might sometime ask him what his thoughts were and how he decided. I mean, ultimately it might just come down to, you have to guess sometimes. So that was very well done. So actually, yeah, so 14 imps. Okay. Okay, so what I've observed so far is that Rosenberg and Platnick are playing a sounder opening bid style than most, but with that 5-4, 11 count, good stuff in your suits, it's pretty clear to open 1 heart, even in a relatively sound opening bid style. So West has a normal 1 spade overcall, and North, it would be too much of a stretch, I guess, to bid 2 clubs there. I like stretching for 2 over 1s in competition. I think if you make one of the spades a club, yeah, then I would bid 2 clubs, but here it's too much. And you have 4 of their suits, so you don't need to stretch most of the time because partner will reopen. So after the reopening double, I think it would be normal for North to jump to 3 clubs. I don't know if he'll be dissuaded by West's redouble showing a strong hand and go low. Who can make what on this hand?
Looks like they can make a decent number.
Doesn't look like it, really. And you're more optimistic. I was thinking it doesn't look like anybody can make much of anything. No, yeah, so you're thinking about clubs. I was first looking at, so East-West. It's interesting because East-West has the balance of power and they have a nice looking spade fit, but they can't make much. They can't even make 2 spades, I don't think. No.
Yeah.
So they've now competed to 3 spades. So some players would have erased immediately with the East hand. Chris, with the King of Hearts in front of the heart bidder, decided to go low, but then he didn't feel like he could not bid at all after his partner redoubled. And he had this nice 3 little clubs holding where he now suspected his partner was short in clubs. So he had some reason to think maybe that the hand was going to play better. I don't know if he expected West to have more for redouble than what he actually had. I would say West is certainly dead minimum if it's even reasonable to redouble. And I'm not sure that I would redouble with that.
Yeah, there was a very similar auction at the other table up until the point of the 3 clubs bid. And then they did decide to go low with the 2 clubs after the redouble. And then it went 2 spades and they bought 2 spades.
Okay, so Platnick made a winning decision to jump to 3 clubs, irrespective of what would have happened in the play of 3 clubs, because he pushed the opponents to 3 spades. And doesn't seem to be much issue here of anything happening in the play, right? Just pretty routinely down 2 now, like, and 2 spades went down 1. So this will be 3 imps back to Bramley. So an interesting question for partnerships to discuss is, after that redouble, if North were to pass, not that he didn't want to do so with this hand, but let's say he had a hand that wasn't sure, he was 4-4 in the minors and just didn't want to pick one, could he pass to say, you pick, partner? Or would passing the redouble mean I want to defend 1 spade redoubled? Do you have agreements about that with all of your partners, Amber?
I'm not sure.
Do you have it with any of either of the partners at this table? Chris Walenkin or Kevin Rosenberg?
I honestly might, but I
Not
have
sure
no
right
idea.
now. Not sure right now. Putting you on the
Yeah.
spot there. So I recommend that partnerships have very clear agreements. I try to, so what I would call this is penalty passes of redoubles. You need to know when is your pass saying, I was about to defend 1 spade doubled and now I want to defend 1 spade redoubled. And when is your pass simply nothing to say. So this is one of the few auctions where, with all my partners with whom I have an agreement, I would say that pass means I want to defend 1 spade redouble. The idea is, if you have a trap pass where you were planning to leave the double in, they can't get out of trouble by redoubling. Okay. On to a new hand here. Again, Kevin opened the bidding with a 5-4-11 count, where I think that if the clubs were not so good and so tempting, he would tend not to open a 5-4-11 count, especially with that shape, because he can't bid his second suit without reversing, and he's got not a good rebid after 1 heart. I basically never rebid a 5-card suit, and maybe Kevin feels that way too, and he just made an exception with King, Queen, Jack, 10-9. It could backfire because it's not 6, and it's not, you know, I think he was probably very happy when partner didn't bid over 3 clubs. Over 2 clubs, I mean. So, 2 clubs. It was led, and pretty clear trump shift looking at that dummy. So what will happen here? Defense will make these 3 diamonds and a club and 1 spade. If he guesses the spade,
I guess if he sets up his hearts, but that's
right. So what he needs to do is, well, can he set up his hearts? I mean, he'll be tapped out if he sets up the hearts, but that won't matter, I see. So he can, because the 9 of diamonds is well placed, or it's not King 9-4 on his left. So let's see. So if he draws trump and sets up the heart and leads a spade, the defense can't take any more than the ace of spades and 2 more diamonds. So he will make it. So it seems like East might have done better to duck the first club, right? Because then he would be in control when he got in with the ace of clubs and be able to give West a diamond rough. But it seems like if he's to duck the trump shift, they would have just been down. Maybe I'm wrong about that. No, maybe declare can just continue trump. I don't know. It would just be down. Yeah. Yeah, so that's a pretty common theme. I imagine Chris had a reason that he didn't think that was the right thing to do here, but it's pretty common. Chris had only ace in one club, but still pretty common to duck the first round of trump so that you're in control. And even thinking declare ahead 6 clubs. I mean, I guess it could be blowing a trump trick to duck if your partner found this shift from something like queen third, but it seems like it's worth at least considering ducking that first trump. And now Kevin needs to guess the spade. But it's also, you know, West doesn't have such an easy duck of the spade, does he? Because well, I guess he can figure out partner doesn't have the jack of diamonds. I was thinking if everything else about the hand were the same and partner had the jack of diamonds, he could just be going up ace of spades and cashing 3 diamond tricks. But that wouldn't give Kevin much of an opening bid. And he knows, I think he knows Kevin has the queen of, well, I guess it's possible Kevin could play this way with the queen of spades and no jack of diamonds. I mean, it feels a lot more natural to just knock out the ace of spades if you have that, but it would be a very tricky play and probably not a play that he would make. So I think West can assume partner has the queen of spades and Kevin goes wrong. So good job again by Eldad. I guess Eldad already had the ace king of diamonds and the jack of hearts. So maybe he thought some hands with the ace of spades would have bid.
But maybe if Chris had the ace of spades, he might have balanced. They did even balance in the other room.
Or not even balanced, but maybe even had a takeout double of 1 heart, right? After one club went past 1 heart, he was at least close to a takeout double of 1 heart if he had the ace of spades. Assuming he had the queen of diamonds, I guess Kevin didn't know for sure where the queen of diamonds was. All right, that was an interesting 2 club contract opportunities for both sides. Okay. So this is unusual, this auction we're seeing here. 1 spade. Note again the takeout double by North. Again, vulnerable against not wanting to get stolen from. This time, not a doubleton honor in an unbid minor, but less the 9 of diamonds is an honor. Purse of Scotland, so maybe it should have that honor. All right, so 9. So again, that standard that would have been horrifying to the people who taught me bridge, the idea of making a takeout double with that hand, but has now become pretty routine. But what's really unusual here is Chris Walenkin's raise to 2 spades, both because it's an underbid, even if it's showing.
I think it's alerted as
constructive, but it's still right. So it's an unusual treatment. Most players these days have both a way to make a constructive raise and an artificial way to show a raise that's.
I wonder if they use 2 hearts though for the weaker raise.
Right, I think they're pretty clearly reversing them.
Yeah.
So they're playing that 2 spades is the constructive raise, and something else, probably 2 hearts, is the weaker raise. Because I'm sure they have a way, but it's I mean, even an underbid to make a constructive raise with that hand. He does have a solid 10 high card points. He's choosing to go low with 3 little trumps. But
Or triple
maybe,
threes.
some people actually play that the constructive raise is unlimited, that you don't ever redouble with 3 trumps. That is a way that people sometimes play. So I'm not sure, but after 2 spades double, competitive, Kevin wanted to compete. And some people play that double actually shows 4 hearts, and that if you want to compete in a minor, you have to bid 2 no trump. It looks like they're definitely not playing that way. And then West's 3 spade bid, it's very standard that is not invitational, just a blocking bid, and obviously was not invitational looking at both the East and West hands. What's happening in the play here, Amber?
Yeah, it looks like they're down probably a couple. So ace, king of hearts, ref a heart. Wonder what Kevin will switch to.
Well, his partner asked for a club, right? He knows the 6 is the lowest heart. 6 looks pretty high, so you've got to be paying attention to those earlier spots. And that's something, of course, we all wish we remembered every spot on every hand, and yet even though partner asked for a club, he's playing a diamond. Interesting.
Yeah. Looks like down 1 now.
Looks like a club would have been
Better.
much better, because also partner gets to play another heart, right?
If they duck the club and not rough it.
Oh, okay, yeah. Well,
But now they can give it diamond rough. Sorry, so down 2. Yeah, so maybe it was a club equal.
Yeah, maybe. Well, if they pitch on the club, then they have an uppercut with the 10 of spades,
Yeah.
right? Roughing the heart with the
But
10 of
now
spades.
they
So
pitch the
feels like that would have come out a trick ahead, but no, I guess not.
then they can just not lose any diamonds.
I see. So in both cases, they get 2 different tricks, yeah, in addition to the king of spades. Okay. All right. So we're on to board 13. This is a 15 board set.
It looks like this table's ahead now. So
Yeah, I'm not experienced with this voice commentary. I think on Twitch, this is on Twitch and people are sending us questions and messages in chat, and we have not been looking at that.
I can check that.
Yeah, so sorry about that. Maybe we'll try to take a look at that, and could have been looking sooner.
I don't see anything right now.
Okay. Maybe people only do that if they have some reason to believe that we're looking. Okay, so 1 spade, 1 no trump, 3 no trump. This is a common treatment that 3 no trump. So it's natural, but it's always going to deliver 6 cards in opener's major, so that partner has a choice between 3 no trump. And usually the hand wouldn't have any singleton, but with a stiff king, and Chris probably looked in that hand and thought, well, this could be 9 tricks in my own hands if spades are running and king of hearts takes a trick. So he wanted to suggest no trump. And with 3 small clubs, Eldad did not want to take a chance that the opponents had the whole club suit. I would say, especially given that he has a 9 count. So if partner's bidding 3-0, he kind of expects them to have enough values to make 4 spades. So doesn't want to risk going down in 3-0 because of club weakness.
Do you think the 3-0 bid is alertable? Chris did alert it as long spades.
Oh, I mean, certainly in this format, I would alert it. And even when I'm playing face-to-face bridge without screens or anything, I do usually alert that, yeah. I mean, it's a natural bid. Maybe it's not technically alertable, but I think it should be explained to the opponents. It's the kind of thing that even if you don't alert at the time, because it's not very likely to affect the opponents, you should tell them before the opening lead.
Yeah, I think Kevin had a director call about this once in a junior tournament where it wasn't alerted, and maybe it's a less common treatment. I think it was against a European pair who hadn't actually known about this treatment.
And what was any clarity about whether the WBF expected it to be alerted?
I honestly don't remember.
Okay.
Yeah, I think maybe it was not a surprising result, or I would have remembered.
Yeah. It's kind of like a typical bridge partnership discussion that you remember the whole discussion you had with partner, but not what the conclusion was, not the important thing, to be on the same wavelength. Yeah. Happens to me all the time. That's why we try to have detailed system notes so that we're not dependent on our memories to say, what did we decide we were doing there? Okay, so 4 spades went very fast. I am sorry if I missed something interesting in the play
It was
there.
a pretty quick claim on the King of Diamonds lead.
Okay, I see. Was it stiff King of Diamonds that was
King and 1.
King and 1 diamond. Ah. Will Kevin rebid 2 spades or 1 no? You think he's going to rebid no?
No,
Rebid
he
2
wouldn't.
spades.
I actually would have predicted this. I think the other day at the table, I rebid 1 no on a hand like this. And then when Dummy came down, he was like, "Who do you think you are, Michael Rosenberg?"
Yes. This is something Michael Rosenberg does. I'm not sure he would do it with this hand, but I've done it and I've seen it be winning to rebid 1 no trump when you're 4-3-3, even with 4-card support for partners major.
Maybe like more stuff in the other suit.
Yeah, maybe more stuff in the other suits and less concentrated, like ace king of hearts. Yeah. And pretty good spades. Yes, he doesn't think he's Michael Rosenberg, or he thinks Michael Rosenberg wouldn't do that. Okay, so Brian Plattner. Okay. I see again that Eldad had opening bid values when the opponents opened, but they opened 1 club, so he really didn't have anything to bid. Trump lead. What do you think about the Trump lead here, Amber?
I mean, I guess it might make sense given having stuff in all the other suits. Though the King Queen 3rd of clubs feels maybe like a pretty natural lead, but they did also open clubs, so.
Right. Yeah, I think of there as being some auctions that really call for a trump lead and other auctions where I would almost never lead a trump. And then this is one of those auctions where it could go either way. It doesn't especially call for a trump lead, but sometimes trump is effective as an aggressive lead, or it sometimes just works as a passive lead better than anything else. So I mean, leading trump from 10-3 definitely has the risk that you'll blow a trump trick. Your partner has something like queen and 1 over on or jack 4th, where they would have made that trick if you hadn't led a trump. So it's not a particularly attractive holding to lead trump from, but not particularly attractive to lead anything else. There are some people who stylistically lead trump more than others, and that can actually be pretty useful to know about as a declarer, because if you're playing against somebody who likes to lead trump a lot. You can sometimes draw inferences. My friend Barry Gorin has a story about this, that he was playing a hand against Bob Hammond, and Bob Hammond, I know by reputation, does not like leading trump. He's like the opposite of a trump leader. But he was playing a hand against Bob Hammond, and Bob Hammond dropped his queen doubleton of trump for no apparent reason. And Barry asked him, why did you drop the queen of trump? And he said, you're a trump leader, son.
Wow. I mean, I feel like pretty flattering to have a reputation about something that Bob Hammond knows.
Right. Well,
Okay. A positive spin on it.
So I've noticed Barry Gorin has been very active in coaching juniors in the US. He's done a lot of that over the last few years. And I see some of the juniors he's coaching leading a lot of trumps. Yeah.
Yeah, this might be a resulting comment, but do you think that is King of Clubs potentially safer on this auction? You might think Partners Clubs, given that they never acted.
No, I wouldn't think that I have any clue whether Partners Clubs. I mean, I guess maybe there's a small inference, but I mean, I have a 10 count. Partner might just not have might not have very much. I'm pretty sure. Do you know this about Chris? Whether he's stylistically, something I know about Chris is something that I think of in my head sometimes when I'm on lead is lead from something, not nothing. That's from years ago when he used to play regularly with Michael. I don't know if he's changed, because I feel like in general styles amongst experts have become more passive over the years, just in general on opening leads.
Yeah, I have no idea.
So Amber is going to be playing with Chris, and they have been practicing many hours, but I guess it's been primarily bidding.
Yeah,
practicing.
maybe
So
also not actually many hours. We had about like a couple months pause for.
it seems to me like we were doing a lot of bidding practice over the last year almost. But you wouldn't know much about his opening lead style because you haven't actually. Have you ever? Well, obviously ever. That's another story that some people there might know about that we won't get into. Maybe we should get into it. Very quickly, a year ago in the World Championships, the Rosenthal team, which I was part of initially, was playing in the mixed, and I got COVID and couldn't play anymore. And Amber was there at the tournament and had been eliminated from the women's, and she filled in for me, and our team got the silver medal. And Chris said, that went pretty well. Amber, will you be my partner next time? Yeah. All right.
Yep, it looks like the last two boards were pushes in the other table. The 3 spades down 1 and 4 spades making 7.
Okay. Rosenthal has, we think, approximately a 15 and bleed. There may not be all penalties accounted for in that score. I don't know if there's a way when we get to the last set that they can make sure to really have an accurate score. They probably don't have a way of doing fractions here. I don't know, because I know I've watched some close matches and you're watching the last set and you really want to know for sure what the exact score is. Thank you, Maya.
Oh, they have the imp correction.
Okay, good to know, Maya. So if when you're watching the last set, it's a really close match and you want to know for sure what all the scores are down to the fractions, this is where you go. You go to the Love Bridge scorecard. Okay, thank you. Okay, so pass, 1 spade double. Chris had a 2-0 opener, a 20 count there, but Brian Platnick opened 1 spade. A lot of people, I think, would open 2 spades in third seat there. What do you think, Amber?
Yeah, I would probably open 2 spades. 4 little hearts.
Yeah, I know this is another Michael Rosenberg theory that I don't know whether Brian Platnick's familiar with, but he thinks it's often more effective to open 1 in third seat on a light hand than to open 2. And I've had some success with that in recent years when I finally started listening to him. So 1 spade double. I'm sure Kevin had a way to show a weak raise, probably by raising to 2 spades, but this hand is too weak. Especially vulnerable. Yeah, I'm thinking I would, someone would do it. I would do it white if you make the jack of spades the queen. That would be the minimum for me. So 1 spade double, 2 clubs. Interesting here that Chris chose to cubit 2 spades as opposed to bidding 2 no trump. So if Chris had bid 2 no trump, what range would that show?
Maybe I would guess normally like the 19 to 20.
Right. So I don't know if he thought he was too good or he wanted to try to get no trump bid from his partner's side. Without the 10 of spades, I would, like, if it were ace deuce of spades, I'd feel like it might be really important to play no trump from partner's side, so they don't get to lead through partner's honor. It's less important. I mean, it could still matter, but it's less important with the 10 of spades because if partner has the jack fourth or the, well, no, yeah, the jack fourth or queen, then the 10 is going to be a second stopper.
Maybe he might be thinking it's worth an upgrade after partner shows clubs, but they might not actually have clubs on.
But I'm not sure that it's really an upgrade to cubit 2 spades. See, I think it's just less descriptive. If anything, 2 spades could be lighter than 19 or 20 points, just without a suitable hand for bidding 2 no trump. So I would
more gearing towards 5.
Right, but I'm more concerned about the lighter part. I'm thinking that I'm not getting to show my values by bidding 2 spades. And well, I guess he didn't think he was going to bid 2 spades and then 3 clubs because that only became possible because of Kevin's double.
Yeah.
And Kevin's double is interesting. I think not many players would double, presumably asking for a spade lead without a higher honor. But when the opponents seem to be headed towards no trump, then you should be able to double, possibly even with 3 small. If you just think you want partner to not try a different lead. So I haven't discussed that with many people, but it's probably the right way to play. Whereas when the opponents are headed for a suit contract, you certainly want to have a high honor in partner suit. Some people play it must be ace or king, or some people play it could be ace, king, or queen to double a cubit of partner suit. Okay, so they have reached.
Yeah, it doesn't look like there's too much.
Reached 5 clubs, which seems like I was going to say a better contract than 3 no trump, but I guess if the club finesse loses, 5 clubs would also go down. It would go down less. So in 5 clubs and 3 no trump. Although maybe you're losing like an over trick imp or something by playing 5 clubs when the club finesse is on. Okay. Oh, well, no, he's making 1 over trick. So we'll actually be able to tie 630. This is interesting. You were saying there's not much to the play, but notice how the diamond loser was about to disappear.
Yeah.
Oh, no, it's not. No, it's not. Kevin's getting him. Never mind. I was right. Of course, that double with the jack of spades, right? If North had the jack of spades, he would be end played, and that was what Aldad played for. But
yeah. So the double is pretty helpful.
Yeah, that's interesting because Platnick, well, I guess Platnick would have known to duck anyway because he would know if he won,
Yeah, he's getting
he's
them.
getting
So,
played. Well, I mean, not if declarer could have Jack third and a doubleton diamond, but that's
Mhm.
probably, it doesn't look like what's going on there. So you could probably figure it out. And also maybe some signaling along the way could show the Jack of spades. Kevin got to play a lot of cards. Okay, so looks like pretty fast set and we are done.
Yep.
Yeah, so thank you, Amber. Thanks very much, Maya.
We can switch to the other table if we want to just do the.
You want to see the last hands at the other table? Sure. Okay, so they're just starting to bid this here. So I will predict that North opens 2 spades. And then what should East do? Probably would start with double, but I think he's going to have to just drive to 3 no trump when they open 2 spades, or to 3 no trump or some other contract if partner wants it. Because there's no accurate way to describe this hand without forcing to game. And the general rule is when the opponents preempt, you're going to guess that partner has at least a little something for you rather than underbidding by a lot. So let's see. So if he doubles and they're playing, I guess it depends on system what will happen after that. If you're, I guess West is going to bid 3 clubs, whether they're playing that shows but extra values or not. And East will have to decide whether to Q bid 3 spades to try to get partner to bid no trump or to just bid 3 no trump himself. And I'm pretty sure I would bid 3 no trump. But I think it's right to start with double rather than just overcalling 3 no trump because you certainly have a flexible hand with the East hand. So I think I would start with double, planning to bid 3 no trump over anything partner bid.
Yeah, it might be more interesting if they had opened 3 spades.
Amber's sort of still a junior this year, so she can suggest. I know, but she can suggest opening 3 spades. Yeah. Well, but you definitely, certainly some juniors would.
Oh, maybe.
I wouldn't be surprised if Kid and Bart would.
1 spade.
Oh, okay. Well, Andrew's maybe heard those same theories, or maybe he just doesn't want to open that suit vulnerable at the 2 level. I'm not sure. Or he doesn't want to open 2 spades at 4 hearts. I'm not sure. I've played quite a bit of bridge with Andrew. And I was guessing wrong that he would open 2 spades. This is good. So now we have the same start as the other room and we can see how Bart handles this hand. Oh, do we have it? Wait, it did start the same way. Yeah. North.
Yep, same.
North passed 2 clubs. Yeah. Okay. So Bart chose the alternative of 2 no trump, which is what I was leaning towards just because I felt like it was descriptive. Okay. So they will play 3 no trump and we'll take the same 11 tricks, so they'll win 2 imps. Yeah. Okay. Glad we switched over to watch biddings, so I think we're going to sign off now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.